Seahawks fans, wherever you may be, thanks for listening to the show. Join your hosts, Bill Alvstad and Keith Myers, as we talk Seahawks football. Hey, Seahawk fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Seahawks Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Bill Alvstad, sitting down with co-host Mr. Keith Myers, here to talk Seahawks football. After a great win on the road, the 9th win in a row for the Seahawks on the road, came away with a victory, 20-12 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Seahawks moved to 4-2 and face the Houston Texans at home for the next game. Keith, it was a fun game in that we won, and two, just a couple of big plays really I thought defined this game. That big sack at the end to kind of seal the game, I thought, on the defensive side, where you had Mafe, Lawrence, and Nwoso converge on Lawrence, their quarterback, to really put them behind the 8 ball. So it was like 4th and 13 or something to go. They had to punt. And then that big play to Barner to kind of seal the deal. And then the holding penalty at the end took points off the board for Jason Myers, but they were able to run out the clock because they didn't have any timeouts left. Then you had some big plays, obviously, with Jaxon-smith and Njigba, the huge touchdown catch. Cooper Kupp had a touchdown, had a couple of receptions in this game, but his first touchdown as a Seahawk. Sam Darnold looked really good most of the time. He took care of the ball, Keith. We talked about that just right before we pushed record. Didn't have any turnovers in this game against a team that led the league in turnovers. So that's huge. Darnold ended up 17-27, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jaxon-smith and Njigba with 8 receptions, 162 yards, and that touchdown. Barner with that big catch at the end. All in all, Keith, it was everything that we needed to do to secure the win, although there's always things that we can improve on. And, the running game was difficult. I thought slowing them down a couple different times on 3rd down was a challenge. But overall, came away impressed with our defense as far as we didn't have the guys in the secondary that we didn't have the game before, but they stepped up this time, and I thought they made the plays when they needed to. And then that defensive line really came to work today compared to last week. They had tons of pressures, 7 sacks. Yeah. Over 20 pressures in this game, Keith. They had, I have some halftime stats here. They had, I was going to say, it was something like 5 sacks, 18 pressures with 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, which is just amazing. So they really came to play today and ended up really not even being a close game, I thought. I think Seattle was in control the whole way. And it was a lot of fun. So give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the defense early on looked rough. A lot of miscommunications in the secondary, and it looked like it was going to be a rehash of last week. But then they kind of got their act together, and some people got involved, and you could see the talking happening and the communication, and guys starting to make plays. And they did so much better. But really the main difference was up front. I mean, it's easy to cover when you've only got to cover for, 2.5 seconds because of you're already getting pressure. 7 sacks is crazy. And, but look who got him. It was Byron Murphy with 2, DeMarcus Lawrence with 2, and then, Leonard Williams with a 0.5 sack, Nwoso with 1.5. These are the usual suspects. And guys they were getting up the field. They were getting pressure with 4. Yes, they blitzed some, but they didn't have to, especially, in the second quarter when they kind of came back, took the lead, and took control of the game a little bit. They didn't have to blitz. They were just bringing 4, and it was enough. And you gotta love that, because that takes the pressure off the back end. The team thought they were going to get a couple of these guys like Witherspoon back today. They didn't, but now another week he should be back. And the fact that they were able to go and get a win and get a good performance out of the defense with this group, you got to feel good about that.
So, a couple of things. Rushing the ball, Ken Walker finished with 10 carries, 34 yards, a 3.4 average. That was actually a little better than I thought it was going to end up being. At halftime, he just didn't look good at all. And then Charbonnet, 12 carries, 24 yards, 2.0 average. But running the ball 22 times gave Sam Darnold the option to run some play action stuff. And I think that all of that running came into play on that last drive, because I think everyone in that stadium, including the Jaguars, expected the Seattle Seahawks to run the ball, run the clock, maybe even, punt the ball again and get the ball back, because it was a 2-score game at that point. Sam Darnold is under center, runs a play action fake to the running back, drops back, and Barner's wide open. Yeah. And he completes that throw. Perfect throw again. Barner's, in a cover 2, but nobody's there because the safety bet came up, and that was the game right there. And so that's why you keep running the ball throughout the game right there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to. And I mean, Barner has been a huge part of this offense this year. And, 3 receptions in this one, including that big one at the end. The other 2 were, short little receptions, one for a first down, one I think was on, 2nd and 10 and made it 3rd and 4 type of situation, which is kind of what you want your tight ends to be making some of those. But really, they set up that play with all the runs, everything. They were running 2 tight ends a lot of the game. The drive right before that, they had gone with 3 wide receivers and were throwing it, and they didn't go anywhere. So they come out with 2 tight ends and grind the ball right up the middle, and then hit play action. And you got a guy like Barner who can run and block, and you set him up to he looks like he's going to go to the second level and block, and then he just runs right by people. It isn't just call a play, run a play. Sometimes it's about setting up that big play later with what you do, and that's what the Seahawks did here. I mean, the running game was really kind of poor. It was not a well executed game in the running game. A total of 22 carries for 58 yards. That's not going to get it done, but it was enough to set up the play action and give Darnold an opportunity to hit that big play and win the game.
So before we go back to the defensive side of the ball, let's talk about Jaxon-Smith and Njigba.
Have to. Oh my God.
8 carries, 162 yards, 20.2 average, a touchdown, big plays throughout, including one that didn't count because he was called for taunting, but it was just a beautiful toe tapper on the sidelines. I just don't even have the words to say right now about him. I mean, he's just coming through in the clutch. He's open. Sam Darnold's best friend on the offense. He's just really making it happen and giving the life to this offense that struggles at times to be consistent moving the ball.
Yeah. I mean, when this team, when the offense is really struggling, the one thing that they can count on is JSN. And he has just been, phenomenal all season, right? I think his lowest output of yards was 72. And that was in a game when he had 0 at halftime, and then they got him involved, and he ended up with 72 in just the second half.
And every other game has been 100 yards plus.
Yeah, well, there's one other one where he had 95, but you know what I mean? Like this guy, the kid is just playing like crazy. He's on pace to break the team record for yards in in a season. I think he's on pace to break the team record for receptions in a season. These are things that Steve Largent has owned forever. And JSN's right there. He's the guy that he looks like he's gonna, if he can keep this up, avoid injury, he's gonna break some Steve Largent records, and that's crazy because I thought some of those records were gonna last forever. I mean, they just were. Largent was so good and on a team with so little else except for him at times that you think those records are just going to last. But man, JSN's he comes through in big moments over and over and over again throughout every single game.
Now, I think eventually we do need other players to step up, Keith, but I will say this. There were opportunities. Sam was putting the ball around. I remember Torrey Horton being open for like a 35-yard opportunity. And just at the last minute, that defensive back came in and made a great play on the ball, knocked the ball away. Cooper Kupp had a couple. Even Njigba had one or two that he probably could have added to that. Arroyo only had one opportunity, really. He had a couple, actually dropped one. Or one that was kind of behind him a little bit, and then only had 6 yards. You just got to get a little bit more folks involved in the offense, I think, and there's opportunities there. They're taking those shots. I mean, Sam Darnold did have 10 incompletions in this game, right? So he's got some. There's a little bit of room to improve. Although I will say, Sam is becoming my favorite player besides JSN. Sam Darnold is becoming my favorite player on this team because he's just a gutsy guy. He's very accurate when he does throw. When he does miss, he misses on the right side of a miss, which means he's not giving the defense really a chance. There was a couple of plays, a couple of patted down balls that went up in the air that could have gone for interceptions. I'll be honest there, but all in all, I really like the way he's playing. Okay, let's talk about the defense.
I was going to say that the one pass to Horton that looked like it was going to be 30 plus yards, maybe more, because he had the guy beat. He left it. Darnold left the ball a little short, and that's what gave the defender a chance to get in there and do that.
He was getting hit right when he let go of the ball.
I know, but I'm just like that. When that's your complaint about the way he played, was that, they had a shot for this, big gain, but he left it a little tiny bit short when he was getting blasted as he threw it. If that's your complaint, like, the kid obviously is playing outstanding football, and you just gotta let him go out there and do his thing. Love what we're seeing from Sam Darnold.
The lack of mental errors, I think, at the quarterback position is, for me, the biggest change year over year between what we were seeing from Jaxon-Smith, even the last 2 years, just the mental errors, and I think that was the biggest complaint that we had about Jaxon-Smith was the mental aspect of the game. And it presented itself in a number of different ways. And we don't have to rehash that. But what I'm saying is Sam is so clean in the way that he plays. And I'm going to, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be issues throughout the season, but more or less, he is really taking command of the offense, playing within himself and playing within the scheme, and really getting the best, I think, out of everyone. I would like to see everyone, make the plays and make all the catches, and the offensive line to be a little cleaner. But overall, we're doing enough, especially if the defense is going to show up like it did today, where you've got so much pressure. We needed that. We needed that type of game out of our defensive front last week. I think we would have been in that game last week had this defensive line showed up and been this effective against Baker Mayfield.
They don't even have to be.
That wouldn't even have been a game.
They don't even have to be this effective. They just needed to have shown up at all.
Well, what I'm saying is they needed to be this effective to protect the back end of this defense because they're so injured.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been nice. That would have been made it a dominant win. But if they had just shown up at all, the pass rush last week, then the Seahawks would have won that game. But the pass rush was a complete no-show a week ago, and it killed them, and that's why they lost the game. And then this time they come out, they do what they need to do. They get after, Lawrence, 7 sacks, pressured on almost every throw, just really made his life difficult. And I know if you were listening to, the broadcast, they were talking about, Trevor Lawrence's footwork and how he's not throwing off a good base and all that kind of stuff. Well, he wasn't, because the Seahawks were in his face. They were making him move off his spot. They had bodies down around his legs. They didn't give him an opportunity to set his feet and have a good base. So it's not just a matter of, he played poorly. No, the Seahawks made those mistakes happen. And that's really, one of those things. You got the front 7 for Seattle played really, really well.
So we blitzed a little bit more in this game than we have been during the season. I don't know what the blitz rate was. But even with that, they were still getting to the quarterback and being effective with rushing 4. So, that's, I think, why the blitz was effective when it was, is they chose their moments. They were successful. DeMarcus Lawrence played a great game.
Yes, he did.
Credited with 2.5 sacks. I thought Shaquille Griffin had a great game. Even though I thought the defensive backs struggled, especially in the first half, I thought in the second half they played really well. He came up and made some great tackles. He didn't really let anything get behind him and kept everything in front. And when he did have receptions in front of him, he made the tackle. Emanwari, I thought, had a great game. He really active. Game. He had 9 combined tackles, 6 solos in this game. Kobe Bryant early in this game had a kind of a tone-setting kind of physicality to his game. I thought Josh Jobe had a couple of really nice plays in the end zone as well. Leonard Williams had half a sack. I thought he was involved more than that. Boye and Mafe, they took away his sack, at least on the stat sheet right now, and gave it to DeMarcus Lawrence, but he was in on that sack. So that last sack was Boye, Mafe, Lawrence, and Nwoso.
Yeah. Mafe needs at least a half sack credit on that.
I agree.
And I think they'll eventually give it to him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Byron Murphy was active, especially in the first half, Keith.
I got to say, one of the surprises in this game for me was that Tyrese Knight essentially didn't play. I mean, he was in there. He played a little, but not much. Instead, it was Drake Thomas in there as the second inside linebacker. And I think they did that because they like what he does in coverage better than Tyrese Knight.
That's a great point.
And he played well. He had a sack in this game. But more importantly is he didn't miss a million tackles, which he did the week before. He actually was, reasonably sure tackling, which was, that was one of the big problems a week ago, was they needed to get him off the field because he couldn't tackle. Instead, he comes up and he makes plays. He's good in coverage. He played well. He deserves credit for having a very good game and was a big part of the success the Seahawks had on defense.
So at the half, these teams were somewhat equal on the team stats. They finished the game like this, however: 346 yards, total yards for Seattle, 273 for the Jaguars. Passing yards, 286 to 214, 60 yards rushing, 59 for the Jags, 6.4 yards per play. That was as high as 8.3 at halftime for the Seattle Seahawks, 4.0 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Seattle's still playing a very efficient game.
There is one part here that really bugs me.
No, there's Seahawks a couple parts.
We're 1 for 12.
Yeah.
On third down. What? That can't.
We held them to 25%. So we did our part on defense, but our offense needs to be way better.
4 of 16 is great. 3 for 3 on fourth downs, though, because really what that does is that extends it and makes it 7 out of 16, if you think of it.
Okay.
In terms of getting stops. And that's No, because they still failed on third down, but then they got it on fourth. It ends up being 7 out of 16. And that's still good. It's under 50%, but it's not
the 3 additional plays. Yes,
there's 16 series. So we're talking about 16 series, and they were able to convert on 7 of them.
Yes, so that's true.
I just think that overall, like the defense did its job. It wasn't like this dominant performance on third down, but Seattle's offense on third down, 1 for 12 is not going to get it done.
No,
it just isn't.
And that, I think, really points to the lack of efficiency on the run game. Because we were in third and long a lot in this game. Now, Darnold made them pay a couple different times, but overall, we were able to do our damage on early downs and passing on early downs. Running the ball was not effective, but when Sam was passing on early downs, that's when those big plays were happening. We did not convert on third downs. So if we got to third down, we were punting. How many punts did we have? We had 7 punts in this game. Now they had 8, but 7 punts for any team is not a great offensive outing. So we've definitely got to improve upon that. Lack of turnovers in this game was key, I thought, to Seattle winning this game.
Did not turn the ball over.
Jacksonville has come in as the number 1 turnover machine in this league. They had 10 interceptions coming in. I thought Sam Darnold needs to really focus and pay attention and take care of the ball, and he did in this game. Now, there were a couple times where they could have maybe had an interception on balls that were deflected, but for as far as targeting is concerned, I thought Sam played an excellent game.
So, looking at going a little deeper with the stats, the Seahawks averaged 10.2 yards per pass attempt. Jacksonville averaged 4.4. Right? I mean,
and two big, huge plays, that 61 yard pass to Barner and the big one to, and I think it was 61.
Also 61 to JSN. Yep.
JSN. Yeah. Those plays can really bump up that average, but agreed. You have to have those plays. I mean, those plays were the differentiators in this game. Lawrence didn't have those plays. Sam Darnold did.
And Seattle wins. And I mean, there's a lot of things you can kind of go look through and statistically, and a lot of things that really just, you go through and you go, well, look at Jason Myers and his ability to, he made both of his extra points. He made, both of his kicks. Well, what did Jacksonville do? Right? They missed those kicks to the point where that's why they went for the 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter and made it an 8-point game instead of a 7-point game because they didn't trust their kicker. And that it really mattered because, when it's it's a 1 possession, but 2 score game, right? When it's you just kind of take the extra points for granted sometimes. And it wasn't something that Jacksonville could have taken for granted. They needed those points. Those points would have made a huge difference to them, but they didn't get them. So, little things like that is why the Seahawks are ranked number 1 in DVOA for special teams, is they just do those things well.
Before this game, we had our pregame show, taking a look at this game. And one of the things we talked about was getting pressure and getting sacks, not just pressures. We talked about the importance of pressures, and pressures is just as good as a stat as sacks, right?
Pressure is production. Yep.
Right. But one of the comments I made was, well, the sacks are awesome because they're drive killers. And that's exactly what happened in this game. And I thought that was the key for the defense in this game. Now, Sam had those big plays, got to win with our offense, but those defensive stops against Lawrence at key times on 3rd and long, 4th and long, or forcing a long 4th down were keys to getting the defense off the field and getting our offense back out there. So, and winning on the road is hard. I mean, it's hard. This is a good game, and this is a good team. They were 4-1 coming in against us. Now, we can talk about strength of schedule and strength of win and all that stuff. You win in the NFL, it's a win.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Kansas City last week and did so with 3 picks, and defensively were solid, and offensively they, played well and got stuff done. Like, Jacksonville is not a bad football team. 4-1, it was a legit 4-1. But here's the thing that what was the longest run that Jacksonville had from scrim, as a running play? It was 8 yards. 8 yards to Tootin. That was it. They never gave up an explosive play on the ground. Etienne, their running back, who's been just kind of dominant this year, 12 carries, 27 yards, 2.3 average. They shut him down. He also had 4 receptions for 28 yards. But this is the guy, their entire offense runs through Etienne. And, he had just over 50 yards total between pass and run. That's the type of performance that you come in and that's how you win a game. Like, that's how you win football games, is you shut down their biggest strength.
That, and you miss that, like you said earlier, you missed that 40-yard field goal or 40, plus yard field goal for them. You go for 2 instead of kicking for the points. You're taking points off the board on those things. That enables you to kind of stay in the game. So at halftime, they're down 13-6. If that doesn't happen, maybe it's like 13-10. They feel more comfortable running the ball after the half, and this game's a little different. And you Seattle made them one-dimensional early on in that second half, and that's it. Lawrence had a lot of attempts, a lot of passing yards in that second half, but they were empty. They were empty yards.
Well, yeah, and his longest completion of the day was just 26 yards. They did a good job of keeping the ball in front of them and not giving up the big play. The one touchdown to Patrick was the 26-yarder. And on that, Job had decent coverage. It was just a good throw, good catch. Sometimes that happens, but they didn't give up explosive plays. They made Jacksonville earn everything. And when you do that, like you said, a sack is a drive killer. If you have to have 2 or 3 successful plays every series to get another first down, a sack will kill you, because there's just not enough plays for you to get the yards that you need. If you're giving up, those 20-yard receptions over and over again, you can overcome sacks as an offense, because you just hit on one of those plays and then you get your first down anyway. And so the fact that the defense did what they needed to do on the back end, covered well, stepped up, made tackles, all those things, it really just it was a complete game, I think, by the defense. And that's just kind of what you're looking for. And it's especially impressive with all the injuries. Julian Love is a huge thing. Witherspoon is one of the best cornerbacks in the entire league. He's been out. And then you lose Woolen on the other side. And so now you're out, both your starting corners, your starting strong safety. That it just makes life really hard. But the team just played really solid, complete defense by everyone. And I need to throw out another name in this that I think, before we, just get guys get lost. And that would be Reed, the safety, who pushed Tyakota off the field for most of this game and came on and was the strong safety over Tyakota, talking about Jarek Reed, and on the back end. And that was a big improvement. His coverage is better.
Tyakota was the guy that gave up that big 24-yard play from Lawrence to Brian Thomas earlier in the game.
Yeah, and then after that, Tyakota ended up with 1 tackle in the game, and then you saw Jarek Reed get on the field and just outperform him. And I was a little surprised at that, because Jarek Reed is a free safety. He's a guy that he plays more in the back end, the way Kobe Bryant does, rather than up near the line of scrimmage. But the team made that adjustment and brought Reed in, and he played really well. He stepped up. This is his first real significant playing time in his career because of all the injuries and whatever, but came in, played really well, and did what he had to do.
I liked the adjustments in this game, especially on the defensive side of the ball, Keith. Early on, it looked like we were going to be in trouble. I'll be honest. There was two or three miscommunication plays against this defense that told me that we were going to be in trouble. Like, okay, these guys aren't communicating. They look lost. Emanwari was out of place once. Ernest Jones was out of place once, or it could have been the other player that was in on that. I can't remember who the other player was, but they just looked disjointed, not communicating, giving up big plays, giving up key third down conversions, and that drive looked easy. And it was going to be a long day. It was not, but they came out and they made those adjustments. They put a couple other different players in, and they tightened up. They really communicated much better. I thought Emanwari looked settled. I think especially in the second half, I thought that he came in and really looked like he belonged. I thought Mike Macdonald's moving him around all over the defense, which I'm really looking forward to, especially when we get full strength. Like you've got Witherspoon out there, Reeks out there, Love's out there, and Emanwari can really lean on those guys to help him, put him in a position to be successful. And then I think this thing really kind of comes together.
I will say there were a couple of times where he looked a little hobbled after plays on that ankle. Like he's not 100%. He's out there battling. We knew he hurt his ankle earlier in the year. You can tell he's not 100%, but he looks fast. This guy looks like a playmaker. And even banged up and not 100%, he was a factor in this game.
I have a question for you, just because my memory is just crazy bad right now, right this very second. But who's our older coach, kind of a mentor coach on the defensive side?
Leslie Frazier.
So one play, Griffin came out, was hobbling off the field, right, limping, obvious limp on the camera, right. Leslie Frazier runs up to him and just literally barked at him. He says, "You're all right, right? You're good." And then he walked away, and the camera went off at that point. But I was like, they can't afford to lose anybody, so nobody's coming out of this game.
No, and Quill went right back in after that and continued to play. Also a little hobbled. You're going to see his name on the injury report. And this week, well, he maybe not, because he's on the practice squad and they don't have to report practice squad injuries. But if he was on the 53, you'd see his name on there. Both those guys played through some ankle soreness, and they had to. There was the depth is non-existent in the defensive backfield right now.
What did you think about the players that got called up? And it seemed like it was a little bit more strategic in this game than against the Buccaneers.
Well, I liked that, what they kind of did. They did what I thought they were going to do against the Buccaneers. I expected Quill to be activated against Tampa, and he wasn't, and it hurt. Now, granted, at the time, they still had Reek over there. He hadn't gotten his concussion, and so he was there. So that they thought they had better depth, and we're looking at it, but then it ended up not working out. But still, I was expecting Quill to be active for that game, and he wasn't. Instead, for this game, not only was he active, but he was out there. He was, the guy on the outside. It was him and Job as your outside corners. And then they had Emanwari, playing a lot of nickel. I was a little surprised that we didn't see more of Kendrick, because he's played well when he's gotten on the field. But I mean, obviously, you'd rather have Emanwari in there as your nickel instead of Kendrick. But still, I mean, Kendrick is a slot corner. He is not an outside corner. That's not his game.
And he's not a safety.
Certainly, yeah. And Quill can play outside, and Emanwari can do just about anything on the back end. He's just so athletic that it doesn't really matter. And so having, it was there was more versatility, and it had guys playing in where they do best. I liked that move. And I liked the move of having, Jarek Reed in there over Tyakota after that first touchdown drive.
I think we've seen enough of Tyakota. Like to know what we have, right? Like a couple of games where he's needed to come in and play significant roles, and he's kind of been the guy that you see getting torched time after time.
I would so much rather see Bell come in and play in that spot over Tyakota. I know Bell's on the roster mainly for a special teams contribution, but what we saw in training camp, we saw in the preseason was a guy who can make plays. And I at this point, I'm ready to see Bell in there over Tyakota. But if Jarek Reed's going to be the guy, I'm okay with that too, because he played well today. Now, hopefully, none of these guys play because Julian Love's back. And if Julian Love's back, like that's a huge step up in terms of just overall talent compared to any of those names.
And Julian Love as well.
Yeah.
So Jaron Reed hobbled off the field. I don't know that he returned after he did, so we'll have to watch that. You mentioned Tyrese Knight earlier as a player that didn't play as much as Drake Thomas did ultimately. Is that a worrying sign for you? Like, what's going on there with the pass defense abilities of Tyrese Knight and the impact it's having on him getting on the field?
Yeah, it is concerning. It is absolutely concerning. I think that you look at what's going on last year. Once he got inserted into the lineup, he played really well. He was a tackling machine, came up, made a lot of plays. This year, you see him not attacking the line of scrimmage when he's in there. He's backpedaling. He's getting, basically he's covering and not well, much more than he's attacking. Where he's a guy that is a guy that you want moving forward, attacking the line of scrimmage and making plays in the hole. You don't want him, dropping back into coverage and that. But it just feels like that the way the teams are attacking Seattle is they're requiring him to cover, and so rather than continue to do that, they just pulled him off the field and let Drake Thomas have those snaps. And that's not great for Tyrese Knight's career. Like, he needs to figure out a way to adapt and do that. But I if I was him, I'd be worried because he's starting. I mean, he's in this game, he lost almost all of his playing time.
Yeah, interesting. On the flip side, I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing by Byron Murphy, another draft pick from last year.
Oh, man.
Who seems to be really turning the corner.
Yeah. Turning the corner. That corner's been turned. He's freaking dominant up front. And they're still playing him out of position, too. They're still playing him at nose. He's so undersized to be a nose. He should be at 3. But I get you've got Leonard Williams, and you're not going to help. You want both of them on the field. So, okay. But when you're in there playing the nose, you're battling double teams at every play because you've got center and a guard on you no matter what you do, and you're still pushing guys, you're still getting into gaps, you're still getting upfield, you're still getting sacks. Like, that just shows just how dominant you've been. And yeah, he's just kind of exploded this year, and I love it.
So Seattle sits 4-2. Still a little bit of football to play this week. Overall, you definitely want at least one of those games, San Francisco or the Buccaneers, back so that you could be 5-1 at this point. But it is what it is. We're 4-2. What is the predominant narrative at sitting at 4-2 with a home game coming up?
Well, the predominant narrative is the injuries on defense. That if Seattle gets healthy, if they get those guys back, that they will go back to being a top 3 defense, and that this team is going to be really, really tough to beat in any way. And I think that we're still Yeah, they won this week. They were close last week. They're still getting the job done some of the time, but until they get those guys back and go back to being absolutely dominant, which we know they can be, it's like how can they hold on? Can they keep this going? Can they stay in it while they wait for the reinforcements?
So what about the offense, though? Like, it's the Sam Darnold and Jaxon-Smith and Njigba show, but beyond that, what do we have?
Yeah, the narrative, I think, is where's the running game? The offensive line's better. They're given.
I do like the commitment to the running game.
They're giving Sam Darnold time, but where's the running yards? Like, you get the occasional game where Ken Walker will blow up, but the consistency, the efficiency of the running game just isn't there. I agree. I like the commitment to it. I like the fact that it sets up play action. It makes those big plays happen. But it would be nice if, instead of averaging, 3.2 yards per carry, they're averaging, 4.6, and they're getting themselves in third and short, not third and long. And that would be,
I think that's going to be the key down the stress or down the stretch. Is creating better efficiencies on first and second down so that you're not playing from behind. Sam Darnold's been able to do it and kind of overcome that. Although in this game, you look at our third down conversions, it just wasn't there somehow or another. Though we did get the big plays that we needed to get when we needed to get them.
We just got them on second down.
Right.
I'd like to see at some point. I mean, you look at when the running game is failing, and you look at where it's failing, it's still failing over right guard a lot. And Bradford's just caught leaning. He's getting his block shed way too easy. In one play, I saw him just get pushed down, and he was basically trying to block someone on his knees. And you can guess how well that went. He is the weak point on this offensive line in the running game, and he's supposed to be this elite run blocker. That's the reason why he exists. And yet he's the weakest link in the running game. And you'd expect that to be Sandell, but it's not. It's been Bradford. I wouldn't mind. I mean, if Haynes isn't the guy, is Lumen. If Lumen is not the guy, is it Cable Do? Is it Richmond? At some point, I want to see them try and rotate someone in there and see if they can find a solution, because this is year 3 of the Bradford experience, and it's never been good.
I will say, though, when plays break down, when replays happen on TV after a broken down play, it is coming from right up the middle. So Sandell and Bradford right in that
Sandell and
spot.
Bradford. Yep.
And I don't know what to do about that. Because, we can try Oluwatimi, but we know we've said it ourselves. He's kind of a wash as far as replacement level to what we've already got.
Him and Sandell are very similar. I don't think that that's going to help. The weakest part is next to him. Did
we do anything Bradford at the trade deadline?
I don't know.
If we did, I don't even know what's out there.
Who's available? How long would it take them to get up to speed? You got to find someone that runs essentially this offense. You got to go from one of those teams. So where's the team that runs this offense that's really bad, that has a good guard that they're willing to trade? You're not going to find that. That's too many needs. I just think you have to make do with what you have. Rotate some guys through. Figure out who.
We're 4-2 with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
I think with its stellar offensive line, could it have gotten one more win somewhere along the line with a certain play that was successful, that wasn't successful because it is what it is? Maybe, that's how close we are. I think to being 5-1 or even 6-0.
Yeah,
because
going from Bradford,
you saw the Abe Lucas play, right? Mm-hmm. Where and then in the first game where he got shoved back, Darnold didn't have a chance to win the game there at the end, and then in the last game you saw Darnold get shoved right when he was attempting the throw to continue that drive,
And that was right off Bradford's, outside shoulder is where their pressure came from. And just went right by him. And I think, if you replace that with a, they don't have to be a Pro Bowl caliber. They just got to be an above average right guard that doesn't give up those kind of things and can open up a hole occasionally. This offense is just so much better and so much more efficient because you lose all those negative plays that position is currently creating. And the way the defense is played in every game but the Tampa game, and you make the offense a little bit better. And people are talking about this being one of the better teams in the entire NFL at that point. And that's really what it comes down to. You got to, they need to get healthy on defense, and they've got to figure out a couple of adjustments in the running game to make that running game more efficient. If they can do that, this team's in really, really good shape for a playoff run.
I agree. All right, let's get out of here. Great game, great show. Thank you, Keith. And we'll be back towards the middle of the week with a preview for you on the Texans game. That should be a fun one as well. That's at home. Let's get out there and support the team on that one. You can find Keith at Myers NFL on Blue Sky, on X too, but he never goes on there anymore. Nope. And I'm on all that stuff as well as NW Seahawk. You can find the show Seahawks Playbook podcast on your favorite podcast platform and our YouTube channel, and hit that subscribe button. Give us a like, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. So until next time, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Seahawks Playbook podcast listeners, thanks for joining us for another edition of the show. You can find us on Twitter. Bill is at NW Seahawk, Keith is at Myers NFL, and the show is at Hawks Playbook. You can listen and subscribe to the show at SeahawksPlaybook.com.